Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. The other day, we had Pierre Poilievre call the Liberal policies and the Liberal Prime Minister wacko after the Liberal Prime Minister called him spineless, after he called into question his character and his fortitude, not to mention his courage. And the whole Liberal Speaker of the House went bananas, right? Everybody seems to be forgetting that 3 times Pierre Poilievre said that he would change the word. He doesn't have to change the sentiment. He changed the word. You don't withdraw the statement. You change the word, but you can't get anywhere in the House of Commons today because the entire left is melting down, right? They have this insidious idea that they're going to that you can't stop them from doing it, right? You can't stop them. That's why Jagmeet Singh doesn't care. In their mind, you are powerless. And that's just exactly where they want you to be. And that's exactly where they want you to stay. So the Liberal Party, they come to CTV afterwards, all the 3 speakers from the 3 main parties. And of course, the Liberal House leader was trying to tell everybody that it was okay for Trudeau to call Poilievre a name because he doesn't agree with him. But when Poilievre does it because he doesn't agree with it, well, it's different. And if you think that he won't apply that same logic to your life, if you think that he won't live high on the hog while you scrape and beg and do whatever you can do to try to eat your food, clothe yourself, home yourself, to just live a quiet, normal life where nobody bothers you, then you are not in for a good future, because he will absolutely apply the same logic to every aspect of your life. Rules for you, not for him. Rules for thee, not for he. Trudeau can call anybody any name they want because they don't agree with the position. However, when Poilievre does it, all of a sudden it's a big deal. Wait a minute. Are you not in the government? Are you not always talking about equality and fairness? Shouldn't you be applying the rules equally? So there's a flaw in the way that they look at it. All right. Before I get into it, I would encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's no secret that Bill C-11 silences people like me, that they turns us down in the algorithm, that it was only enacted by the Liberal government so that they could enforce censorship on anyone who doesn't agree with their policies and anyone who has the courage to say it out loud. So sharing this with your friends and getting them to subscribe is one of the only ways that we can push back against this current federal government. All right, let's get into it.
But you see, this is what they do, Vashi. They take extremist, in many cases, violent rhetoric. He went and with a wink and a nod promised to tear up the Charter of Rights.
I mean, he didn't say that. He intimated that he would make the Constitution work for what kind of
Well, how do you make
new
the
laws
Constitution work?
But he did not say, I'm going to tear it. To be fair, he's not explicitly saying, I'm going to tear up the Charter of Freedoms
He said
and
he'd
Rights.
use the notwithstanding clause.
He didn't even say that. He said
Well,
he would make the Constitution work.
Yes.
Which rule did he break? And was it simply by using the word wacko, or that he used it to characterize the Prime Minister?
You're
because
not
there are
allowed-
other parliamentarians who have used the word wacko.
You're not allowed to question the character of the Prime Minister, and I would refer you to earlier, or any other member for that matter.
Prior to the wacko comment, I heard the Prime Minister describe the leadership of Pierre Poilievre as spineless. Is that parliamentary?
You're not allowed to call into question the veracity or the character of, but
Isn't calling someone spineless doing that?
Well, what were we talking about?
It's okay because you feel that it's justified for your party to call into question Mr. Poilievre's character in the House of Commons and characterize him as spineless. But for Mr. Poilievre to do the same, for a reason he feels is justified, which you disagree, but for him to do the same and use the word wacko is not. But the accusation being leveled at your party is that the Speaker is acting in a partisan way to protect, essentially, the Liberals, a party which he belongs to, but that he is not supposed to represent as Speaker of the House of Commons. The Prime Minister did call Mr. Poilievre spineless today, but should your party also take that into account?
Saying someone that is lacking in principle.
No, spineless is the word that was used.
Saying, well, that's a synonym for lacking in principle. That does not call into question the very character of someone.
What? This guy is the leader of the Liberal Party, the House leader. And he said, right there on national TV, on this channel, on everywhere, that calling a person spineless, telling you that they have no principles, is not calling into into scope their character? Come on, man. And I know you hear him say it and you think to yourself, well, that's just not true. That he's applying the rule only to favor himself. And that's what I mean when I said, if you think that he will do it, he won't do that to you. If you think that if these liberals get their dream of having absolute power and having a Marxist government installed, if you think that they won't tell you that you have to live by different rules than they do, then you just hurt it yourself. It's wrong for Poilievre to try to extract a word and change it, which he's completely and utterly permitted to do. But Trudeau can say spineless. The Speaker of the House doesn't have to say anything about it, doesn't even try to shut him down, doesn't turn off his mic, doesn't do anything. He just lets it go. Come on, man, that ain't right. If you want to start if you want to start abusing the House of Commons now, if you want to take your power and abuse it in the House of Commons, you're going to have a lot of people tell you that they don't agree with you. The only thing that holds the system together is the rules. And if you're not going to follow them, if you're going to make separate rules for yourself as you make for everyone else, then people don't have to respect any part of the system. I mean, that's just the way it works. Now because he wouldn't be in the same studio at the same time as Melissa Lantsman, so he had to have a special treatment, and then Melissa Lantsman and the NDP guy, I forget who, the health minister comes in, shadow health minister comes into the studio right afterwards, and so it's the same subject matter, and Melissa Lantsman completely and utterly shuts down all of the attempts to make it cast shade on Pierre Poilievre, on the Conservative Party. She just rips her to shreds again, which is it's really good to watch. So let's do that.
How is it at all necessary to call the Prime Minister wacko to make your point? And isn't it unparliamentary?
Look, it is wacko to see children in playgrounds stepping over needles. It is wacko to see 2,500 people a year die from the dangerous drug policies by this dangerous Prime Minister who's keeping them in place even after the radical NDP in BC has asked him to reverse those dangerous policies. All of those things are wacko. And I think Canadians agree that this is wacko policy. We want to have the conversation about policy, about the dangerous drug policy that, again, has killed 2,500 people, that kills 6 people a day. And we're going to call it exactly what it is, what Canadians believe that it is. And these are wacko policies. And it is a word that has been used in the House of Commons many times. In fact, by the leader of the House Leader of the NDP, who can't be here because he's used that word. The leader is going to stop at an anti-carbon tax rally because he is the only leader in the House that is anti-carbon tax. And we will continue to fight against the carbon tax for every single Canadian. We're not going to stop fighting against the carbon tax in Canadians. We're not going to stop fighting in the House of Commons to reverse these dangerous and insane drug policies. This is the only place in North America that has decriminalized crack, fentanyl, heroin. And that's the conversation we want to have in the House with these wacko policies.
And I do want to get to that. He also hasn't said anything about Alex Jones endorsing him. Why not?
We're going to have look, if you want to have a conversation about the House of Commons and what we talked about today and the fact that the Liberal Speaker is protecting the Prime Minister while silencing the Leader of the Opposition, we're happy to do that. If you want to talk about a Prime Minister who drives division and hate, who has been thanked by Hamas, who doesn't list the IRGC as terrorists, but today we were having a conversation in the House about the dangerous drug policies that the Prime Minister has imposed on Canadians that have allowed 6 people to die a day. That is a crisis, and it is a crisis that the Prime Minister still hasn't addressed.
I take it from those comments that you don't regret employing the word wacko to describe the Prime Minister?
They are wacko policies,
But you're not addressing the substance. It's wacko policies versus calling the Prime Minister wacko. Those are two different things.
Employed by a wacko Prime Minister. I want to see a Speaker that's going to apply the rules equally in the House. And if the Prime Minister wants to call the Leader of the Opposition names, then we are going to talk about the wacko policies that this Prime Minister has imposed and the death of 2,500 British Columbians, 6 people a day, dying from his dangerous drug policies.
Ms. Lantsman brought up the fact that that word wacko has been employed twice by Peter Julian, that drug use is not happening in public spaces like hospitals, like playgrounds.
And that they don't want less safe consumption sites, they want more.
So in his mind, just so you grab that little last soundbite, parks and hospitals is a safe consumption site where children play and people are trying to work. Jesus, how long does it take you to get into a hospital, have an x-ray, and yet you can go in there and smoke your whatever drug anytime you want? Come on.
But why is it extremist to raise those concerns about decriminalization writ large? Like the way that you're characterizing the concerns as espoused by the Conservatives are that they are extreme.
I think that what is happening right now is we're not seeing a full-scale response to the toxic drug crisis. So we need a full throttle response from the government. We've invested 1% of what we spent on COVID, despite the fact this is the leading cause of death of anyone under 59 years old in my home province.
And yet every time I hear the NDP party talk, it's all about budgets. It's all about helping one another. It's all about corporate greed. I don't hear the NDP talking about this epidemic that they claim is the largest killer of people under 59 in their home province. More than half of the current federal NDPs reside in, or their ridings are in British Columbia. Now all of a sudden he wants to say to you that, oh, no, it's all about safe consumption sites. Listen, when there's children around, it's not a safe consumption site anymore than it's okay to be smoking a cigarette. If I can't smoke a cigarette in a hospital, how come I can smoke crack? If I can't smoke a cigarette in a restaurant, or on a bus, how come I can do another hard drug on a bus, on the metro, on the subway? What are you talking about, buddy? What are you actually talking about? Is anybody surprised? These systems are out of whack, or what we call wacko. All right, I think I made my position clear, and I think that it's time we stopped allowing the people to control the narrative, right? I mean, if we don't want these things, if they're harming children, if they're harming things, then we need to be saying, hey, listen, this is no good. If a person can't go into work and it be a safe place to work, how come nobody's saying anything about that? And the reason that, of course, it's parks and hospitals is because that's where they want you to tell you that nobody else goes, right? All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you all for listening. I would appreciate it if you would like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join memberships if you like the channel. I'll talk to you next time.